All right. So this season, to start the season, we saw the pairing of Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and there was hype surrounding these guys. They were saying, "Oh my God, the Sack brothers." These guys want to go after records, but I think that really, uh, you know, affected their play because they were focused on that. They weren't focused on a team effort. They were not. You know, it took them. And Jack Del Rio really didn't help either, um, at all. So the defensive play, because now we're on the defensive side of the football now, also held these guys back too. Now Chase Young in the Buccaneers game, right when Montez Sweat and Chase Young were actually doing something, Chase Young goes down with a torn ACL. He gets done for the rest of the year. He's done. Hopefully he can be back by next year. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he can become bigger, badder, and better next year, than ever next year. We'll have to wait and see though, because torn ACLs are, 6 months minimum to a year. So we'll have to wait and see. Montez Sweat, the same, same applies. Got too thick headed probably. The coaching held him back. And then right when he, gets back in there, gets hurt, suffered a broken jaw, missed 4 games, and then he comes back, gets COVID, so he missed like 5 or 6 games altogether. He didn't have an impact at all this year, and then unfortunately, tragedy struck in his family when he lost his brother, due to I think it was either a shooting or a car accident or something. So he, just got shut down for he understandably so decided to, just miss the rest of the season. Hopefully he comes back mentally healthy next year. So those guys together, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give them a D. I'm going to give them a D, together, as a duo, just because the beginning of the season they did next to nothing. They didn't make an impact. They were, missing tackles, trying to do individual things. They weren't focused on as a team. So those two guys right there get a D for me. Now, next up, we're going to be talking about Shaka Toney, James Smith Williams, um, William Bradley King. Who was another guy? I think that those are the guys that stepped up. Now, when Montez Sweat and Chase Young went down, that's when the pass rush and the edge rushing and all the sacks actually came. They actually made a huge difference. So I got to give those guys who were 6th or 7th round picks. And I think that, those guys were like, look, the NFL, this team think we're nobodies. I think that those guys said to each other, they think we're nobodies, but let's make names for ourselves. And I think I loved it. The team finally came together. Those guys, John Allen, and I'll talk about the defensive tackles here in a few minutes, but they band together and made a huge impact. Sacks, forced fumbles, everything. Everything happened there. So, those, Chase Young and Montez Sweat together get a D, but those guys stepped up when needed. So the edge rushers / pass rushers, or whatever you like to call them, for me as a whole, or defensive ends. That's the officials. Defensive ends as a whole, for me, get a C, just because, again, I'll talk about more of the coaching here in a second, or later. But the defensive ends as a whole get a C. Next up is going to be defensive tackles, and I have a lot to say about Deron Pay, Jonathan Allen, Tim Settle, Matt Ioannidis. So those are the guys that are coming up next.